pricing is an illusion. It doesn't matter what you price. There is someone out there that will probably pay for it. There's someone that will happily pay $100, and there's probably someone that would happily pay $100,000 for what you do. The reality is it doesn't matter about the price. What matters is about the positioning of your service.
Hey there, expert. If you're a consultant looking to grow your practice to 500K and beyond, then this masterclass is a preview into some of the strategies and tactics we teach our experts around sales, marketing, and how to create high converting offers and delivery system so they can enjoy more profit without sacrificing their lifestyle. Now, if you like this session, please give us a like, a subscribe, or even comment. Every bit of engagement helps get this message out to more people. Anyway, enjoy the masterclass, and we hope to see you in person, on a call, or at one of our events soon.
Today, we have a great masterclass. I'm going to move some stuff here because I've got some notes. We are literally going to give you guys the goods, because why is this important that you understand profit and pricing principles? The number one reason why people can't get over the get paid line is offer articulation and demonstration. And the main cause that people can't shift it over to that get paid line is because it comes down to this challenge around money. So the conversations that we often have with people are, how do I price what I do? I don't want to be too expensive. I don't know if people will pay for that. Other people in my industry, they charge less. How do I know what to price? What's a fair price? How do I charge what I'm worth? How do I position myself so I can make the money I want, but not, give it away for nothing? And pricing is such an important topic, because obviously pricing will determine your profit. Pricing will determine how much you can make, how hard you have to work to make it, and also how sustainable and consistent it is for you to run and grow your business. And so when we talk to people about pricing, we often hear the same things come up. What's the model I use? Well, I'm charging an hourly rate. I'm charging a project fee. I'm charging a workshop rate. I'm charging and it's often around a one-time thing, which is fine. But ultimately, if you want to be a profitable consultant, being able to move people into what we call outcome-based pricing rather than just commoditized pricing is the big difference between earning average income and earning great revenue. And I think that big shift is income is how employees, and we have that very PAYG, which is an Australian version for pay as you go. That's kind of like what we call it here. That's the mindset that we're born into, because we're born into go, get a job, charge an hourly rate, go into a company, get a contract, just tap away, keep the contract. That's all you need to do. That's great if all you're wanting to do is optimized for income. But if you want to optimize for revenue, which is what a business looks at, obviously income is a combination of revenue and profit. That's the money that you get. But ultimately, we want to move toward revenue. Businesses talk in terms of revenue. As individuals, we need to look at how do we price ourselves to bring in more revenue from our clients. So can I just ask quickly, at the moment, depending on where you're at in your consulting or coaching journey, how do you price currently? Do you price project rates? Do you price hourly rates? Do you price monthly retainer? What is it that you currently price at, or would like to price at, or thinking to price at the moment? Could you just let us know in the chat? What would you be pricing at the moment? Okay, Joel, monthly retainer. Cool. Price based on results. Okay, so your pricing is based on the results you get a client, Rob. Okay. Price is based on purchase of a program. So it's a one-time fee, Anthony, at the moment. Like they buy something, you get it, cool. Monthly retainer and hourly, Lisa. Okay, cool. New in business, Frank. But start thinking, what do you think you would charge, right? This is the thing we need to just think about. If you're just starting out, what is the model that you wouldn't want to charge? How would you charge? monthly retainer, Catherine. Perfect. Okay, so today I want to talk to you about pricing and profit principles, because these are the things that make the difference between earning the money that you really want and having to work really hard to earn some money. I learned this the hard way years and years ago, and often what I'm going to teach you today might not sink in straight away, but this is a session you might want to watch over and over again. And as a result, I've actually got a pretty decent document I'm going to give you access to today at the right time. And if you're watching on a replay and you'd like access to this document, just comment document and we'll make sure that we give it to you in the replay. Before we do, a couple of things I want to talk through when my iPad wants to play ball. There it is. The first thing that we want to remember is that whenever we're talking pricing, it's never about pricing. Pricing is an illusion, right? Pricing is an illusion. And the reason for that is if you think about pricing alone, you will always, it's hard to quantify what you do, because on the other side of pricing is value, right? So pricing is an illusion. It doesn't matter what you price. There is someone out there that will probably pay for it. There's someone that will happily pay $100, and there's probably someone that would happily pay $100,000 for what you do. The reality is it doesn't matter about the price. What matters is about the positioning of your service. So positioning is essentially where we anchor value rather than try to anchor for price. So whenever you try to see someone who's talking in sales and they're talking about price, what they're trying to do is they're looking at how can I make this, we think the illusion, if I make this cheaper, the person will buy faster. And whilst there is some truth to that, because the higher the buy-in, the more resistance you're going to get from people, depending on the value that you bring and the size of the problem that you're solving, it could be cheap. For example, if I have a developer and the developer has a multi-billion-dollar development site and it's being held up because of the government town planning is holding something up, and I happen to be someone as a consultant who has a service where I can come in and I can actually deal with that problem, the cost of that problem is $1 billion. Like $1 billion is the what that project's worth, and the cost to not solving it is probably the interest on that $1 billion, which could be $100,000 a day. So the cost of not solving that problem to the developer is $100,000 a day. How much should I charge for my service? It's a question. What do you reckon? It's costing me $100,000 a day because town planning won't process my application and I cannot continue building until they do. $100,000 a day in interest. I have $1 billion project. How much is it worth? Someone put a number down. In your mind, what are you thinking? Is it worth $1,000? I'll just charge an hourly rate. I'll just charge $200 an hour. Is it worth $5 grand? Do a consultation. Anthony reckons 500K. Yeah. 100K, says Rob. I agree. The question is like, well, I don't know. But what I do know is the problem seems pretty important and pretty heavy. If I go in too cheap, I might seem like I'm not going to be right for the job, right? Because if I said to them, look, I'll charge you $1,000 to solve it, they'll probably go, right? If you price too low, you don't seem credible. If you price too high, you seem unreasonable. So what you need to do is go, if it's $100,000 a day and this problem could potentially go on for, call it a month, 30 days, that's a lot of money. If I came and said, I charge $30,000, $10,000 up front, and then we'll do a progress payment of $10,000 in the middle, and then $10,000 when I've secured the government, when we've got the town planning applications approved. It'll probably take X amount of time, so it'll be $30,000 in total. Is that something that we can work with? The person is literally begging, like, mate, that sounds fantastic. Where do I sign? Can we just get started tomorrow? Urgency, problem, value. How urgent is it? What's the value of the problem? What are you going to charge? So what I think a lot of us do as consultants and as coaches is we go in thinking, well, this is my product. This is my product. This is what the market charges. And as a result, I'm going to put a number on it. And then I'm just going to ask and say, great, for me to help you, it's going to be X dollars. And then what we do is we take the pricing and then we put what I call a constraint on it. So it's either one time only or it's recurring revenue. One time only means you're doing it for an hour, for a project, for a fee, but it's kind of like quantified. There's an end to it. And then there's recurring. And that's also depending on the size of the problem and how long that problem could go on for. Long story short is that most people, everybody, I'd like you to write this down. Most people that you talk to they are willing to pay more to avoid loss than they are to achieve gain. 90% or more of people are more likely to buy in order to avoid loss than they are to achieve a gain. And we've said this before, right? In our expert offer architecture, if you go, here is the pain and the problem, and here is the possibility and the promise, as in, here's what I'm going to help you do. I'm going to help you build $1 million business and all that nice stuff. But ultimately, the thing that people buy that makes them want to start is a problem. Always. And the question would be, well, how do I know what that problem is? Right? Like, how do I know what that problem is? If I knew that problem, I'd just market to it. Well, the reality is that your market probably has a number of different problems. And the reason why we have different offers in the market is because we want to talk to the three main problems that our market probably has. So in the expert project, when I think of the problems, I look at the corners as addressing those problems. One, you don't have access to perfect future customers. You don't have enough access to the people that you want to target. Two, you don't have enough leads coming in from those people, so you're starving for opportunity. And three, as a result of starving, you're not getting the revenue that you want. And so the business is stalled. So what we have to do is fix that. So I speak to a problem first. The promise can be in the middle, but you've got to articulate in our model why they're not able to get that. Right? That's important. That's why we do the money model the way we do it. But let's go back to the main event. People are more likely to make a decision to avoid loss than they are to achieve a gain. And there is always, 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 always the big delineation, everybody, between the product cost or the service that you offer, right? That's a product cost to you, right? So you might say, well, how does it cost you to deliver? Well, 2 hours a week, all of that stuff that you put together, and you go, well, for me to deliver the service, it cost me $1,000 a week to deliver my services. So what I should do is I should just make it $2,000. Then I make $1,000 profit. And I think that's a very rudimentary amateur way to price, because all you're doing is saying, well, it costs me $1,000. I just want to make $1,000 on top of that. Whereas what you need to consider, really, really, really consider to feel the confidence and to feel good about talking about money. Because the reason why you feel weird about talking about money is because you truly don't know what the cost of the problem is that you're solving. And all you're doing is saying, I hope they don't understand how much it costs me to deliver my service, because it cost me $1 and I'm charging $100. And I feel bad about that because I'm making money. How dare I? And that's the mentality that we move into when we're doing consulting. We think, well, making money must be bad because it only cost me $1 and I feel like I'm stealing because I'm charging $100. That's what we think. And based on that, people suck at selling because they feel like they're hiding something from the client. The reality is it's got nothing to do with how much it costs you to deliver your service. What we need to really dial in is we need to understand what is the, everyone ready? Problem cost. Which is why when we talk about selling, we have this thing called a diagnosis, right? When you do a brainstorm call, we teach brainstorm as the qualification call. The diagnosis should give you some understanding of the problem cost. And if it doesn't, the questions that you ask are probably not fit for purpose. The only reason we ask the diagnosis questions is to understand how much is it costing them? How much are they losing by not solving this problem, by not taking action, by staying where they are? What's that worth to them? And if you can get an idea, for example, let me just quantify it as an example. If I go, well, if you don't have, say for example, your average dollar sale is 5K, let's call it 5K. And I go, how many leads are you getting? And they go, I'm getting 10. How many sales are you making? 2. Right. And based on that, what sort of revenue are you on? And they might go, I'm on 5K at the moment. And you start doing the numbers and you're like, okay, what I can understand is 5K, they make 2 sales, but they're on 5K a month kind of thing. So they must be making like 1 sale recurring a month on average. So what's the opportunity here? 80% loss. If I took those 8 sales that they said they aren't making, right? There's a number of ways to skin this. And I go 8 times 5K equals $40,000 that they're losing they're not able to convert. But what's more, there's something around retention that's a problem here because they're only saying that they're on 5K. So I can start to understand based on the metrics that I use, I can start to understand and let them know, well, where would you like to be? I'd like to be 15K. So straight away, it's costing them 10K per month, plus the opportunity they're losing not to do something. Does everyone understand that? If they're on 5K and they want to be on 15, it's costing you $10,000 a month not to know the answer to your problem. Plus the leads that you're not converting, 40,000. There's $40,000 worth of opportunity that you're not converting, and then there's a gap in you being able to deliver your services or sell. So it's kind of like if I do that over 12 months, it's $120,000, 120K a year that you are losing by not knowing it. Plus, if it's every month 10 leads and you're only converting 2, there's $40,000 a month. Let's call it 400. There's 520K per annum that you're losing not to do something. And the reason why that's important is because I want them to know the cost of their problem. Because most people are like emus or ostriches. They put their head in the sand and they can't feel, they don't feel the cost of their problem. And so when you make it real to them, you put it in front of them, you say, well, so what I'm hearing is it's probably costing you about $500,000 a year not to solve this problem. Is that right? When you put it to them back based on the words they said, it's unequivocal proof. They can't argue with you because they've told you the information. And so when I look at that, you think about pricing for a second in terms of positioning, and you go, there is a known problem, right? That's what you're pricing for. You're pricing for a known problem. And you'll find that your marketplace, the known problem, has a cost to it. Now you might be saying, well, Ron, how do I know what that cost is? What if I'm an intangible business? What if I'm helping someone avoid burnout or team performance or all that sort of stuff? And I knew that you'd ask that, so I prepared something. And what I'm going to do is this is for you to look at because it's to anchor the insights that you have today, and to make sure you don't walk away and forget it. This is a reference sheet that I want you to keep close with you and study. This should be one of the most valuable things that you can take this month, right? I want you to have a look at that, and we're going to work through it together today, just for the next 10 minutes, and then I'm going to answer some questions. But this is really important that I give this to you so it contextualizes the content and the insights and the ideas that I'm putting in front of you. And so, with that in mind, let me see whether I can. I've just moved this stuff around. There it is. Okay, so we're going to go through this together. And like I said, the idea here is not to bore you to death, but to give you more context. So I call it outcome-based pricing. We've spoken about this before. Stop selling hourly rates, project rates. Eventually what you want to look at is shifting to what we call outcome-based pricing. And what that means is you're not pricing based on a project. You're not pricing based on a keynote. You're not pricing based on a workshop or a 90-day program. You're pricing based on an outcome that comes as a result of solving the problem. We're going to go through a couple of examples. We're going to help you understand some objections. We're going to give you some implementation steps, and there's going to be some closing thoughts. And so I sort of structured this together for you guys last night. And I want to make sure that we are in a position to kind of walk away with some real knowledge and then apply it to your situation. So a couple of problems that you find, right? First up is I've given some examples. Time-based billing creates the wrong incentives. So a consultant charging an hourly rate takes longer to solve problems, but also if you are charging hourly rates, you're just like everybody else. You're just like everyone else. You just commoditized yourself down to the smallest piece, which doesn't articulate or showcase your true value. And so when you charge by the hour, clients compare you to lower cost alternatives. Like you just are a cost. It's like, okay, cool, $100 an hour. I can get someone for 90. Yeah, but I've got more experience. Yeah, but they're $10 cheaper. So, right? So if you want to bid on price, it's just a bid to the bottom unless you've got some level of credibility in the marketplace. Outcome-based pricing is about giving people access to an option that enables them to solve a problem, and the pricing is a result of that. It's based on that, not based on you taking 2 hours or 10 hours or 1 hour. Outcome-based alternative, right? Price based on impact and results. So charging $50,000 for a solution that saves a client $500,000. Both parties focus on achieving maximum results. That's kind of what you said, Rob. Attracts better clients who value results over cost cutting. Clients who want solutions are much better than clients who want cheap. If someone's going to barter you down to the bottom dollar, can you make it cheaper? No. Experts don't discount. They add value. Experts don't discount. They add value. It's one of their core rules.
Hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing so far, please like, subscribe, and comment. Getting this out to more people is why we do it, and hearing from you makes it all worthwhile. So please let us know. And by the way, if you'd like more information about the Expert Project, head on over to expertproject.com/launch, where you can tell us a bit more about your business, what you might be needing, how we might be able to help, and book a call with one of our team so we can help you grow your consulting business today.
Now, real world examples. I've given you some examples, and these are some clients that I've worked with in the past. $150 hour for a system setup, $75,000 for a solution that reduces operational costs by $300,000 annually. Leadership training, $5,000 per day of training, $100,000 for a program that improves team retention by 25%. Wellness coaching, instead of $200 a session, $25,000 for a program that reduces executive burnout and increases productivity by 30%, right? And you might go, well, how do you measure that? Well, let's go through that. That's really good question. So the first thing is it's going to come down to the quality of your qualification process. And what I mean by that is how well are you asking questions that define the problem? For example, what's prompted you to explore this now? Well, we're losing key employees faster than ever. Can you help me understand the cost of that turnover? Well, each senior employee costs about $100,000 to replace. And so how many have you lost in the past year? 8 so far. So that's about $800,000 in replacement costs alone. What other impacts are you seeing? Project delays, team morale issues, lost client relationships. Great. So what can I ascertain from asking those very simple questions? Direct costs, it's costing you $800,000 not to solve this problem, and probably more. And not only that, indirectly, you don't have the right training, which is causing this problem. The effect is that you're losing $800,000, but the cause is that you don't have the right training in place, right? There's an emotional impact. People are losing trust. Culture is dying. People are questioning whether they should work for you. So you've already got probably another half dozen people waiting in the wings to retire. You've got people quietly quitting. You've probably got people, talk about the problems, guys. And most people get so scared, I want to talk about the problem. No, they're here to talk about the problem. That's why they're with you. Well, how urgent is this? Well, it's pretty urgent because we're losing our leadership. Great, okay. These are future state vision examples, like looking at the future. If we could solve this retention issue, what would success look like? By the way, you might find that some of these are very similar to what we give you in the diagnosis and the qualification framework, the brainstorm framework that we give. Ideally, ideally we'd like to keep our top performers longer. How much longer? If we can get another 2 to 3 years from each key person, and what would that mean for the business? Well, more stable client relationships, stronger teams, better execution. Could you put a value on that stability? Yeah, look, just in saved recruitment costs alone, that could be anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000 per year. Okay. Quantitative improvements, qualitative benefits, timeline expectations, ripple effect of it. Can you, everyone just put a Y in the chat if you can see if this is helpful, right? Can you put a value on? If you can't put value on what it is that they do, ask them to put a value on it. How much value would you put on being able to achieve that? Oh, but I can't quantify what I do. Well, then ask them. Outcome metrics for different scenarios, right? So for business performance projects, revenue increase, cost reduction, time saving, market share, customer satisfaction, employee retention. For example, what would 10% improvement in efficiency mean financially? That's about $2 million in additional revenue. And how would that impact your market position? We'd be a market leader in our region. Fantastic. Cool. So that's what they want. That's what it's costing them not to have it. And so you could say another one for leadership and personal development. How many strategic decisions do you want to make in a typical week? Well, probably about 15 to 20 significant decisions. Great. If better work-life balance improved just one decision per week, what would that be worth? Well, a single good strategic decision can be worth millions. Wow. Sounds pretty important. And see, what I tend to find a lot of consultants do is that we don't have those conversations. We go, oh, cool, I help people make better decisions. Oh, but how do you quantify that? Well, it's not about making better decisions, is it really? What it is about performance. And decisions decide performance. So when you chat with somebody, you're talking about leadership performance, one of the things you want to talk about is decision making. By the way, how many decisions do you make? How many key decisions would you say that you have to make every week that influence the performance of your business? Yeah, mate, several a day. Several meaning 4 a day, 4. So like if we quantify that just together, would that be like 20 a week? Oh, at least. Great. And what's the value of one decision, like a good decision? What value do you think that could bring to your company? Oh, a lot. When you say a lot, what do you mean by a lot? Well, $100,000 a decision probably, because these are high value people. Great. So if we just put that together, it's about, 200,000. Like there is a lot of money. $100,000, $2 million a week in basically decisions that you're making. So you're making $2 million worth of decisions a week. Yeah, mate, I never thought of it like that, but that's exactly it. Wow. It's pretty important then, right? Yes, it is. You see the difference? So people say, I can't get tangible. Well, you can, just got to ask questions that make it tangible. And that's what you price on. Otherwise you go, well, we're going to help you make better decisions. Great. That's $10,000. Yeah, cool. No, I'll think about it. See, it's much more powerful when you quantify a problem. rather than try to sell your solution. And so, you know, another example for leadership and personal development. How many strategic decisions can you make? Oh, we've already got that through. So here is some intangible outcomes, right? Handling intangible outcomes objections. So executive might say, oh, I'm exhausted all the time. How is that affecting your work? I'm slow on making decisions, missing opportunities, and I've got no patience for people. Fantastic. If we put numbers on that, how many opportunities do you evaluate a month? About 20, 25. What's the value of each of these deals? How many opportunities do you evaluate each month? About 20 to 25 deals. Well, you know, great. What's the value of those deals? Around 500,000. So if burnout causes you to miss one good opportunity per month, that's worth. Okay, another scenario, team performance. My team isn't performing at their best. How many people on your team? 15 key personnel. If each person is operating at 80% capacity due to poor work-life balance, yeah, that's like having 3 fewer people on the team. Great. And what's the annual cost of these 3 people? About $450,000 in salary and benefits. Okay. So, you know, another one, price objection, advanced discovery conversation techniques. Client, I know I'm moving at a rate of knots. I want to get some questions from you guys, and we'll pause for a second. Just to go back, quantifying the problem is about qualifying their situation. Quantifying the problem is about qualifying their situation. So a couple of questions to ask is, what's that worth? What's the cost of not having A? What is it worth? What is it worth if we could? These are great questions that quantify problems. So if they walk away from a conversation, at least they walk away from a conversation understanding that they are losing something. And often it's going to be money, time, or opportunity. And all of those things, both time and opportunity, guess what, can be quantified back to one thing. And what is it? Money. Because ultimately we're talking about pricing and profit. So if you can't quantify money, what you do into money, it's really hard to sell, because as much as you don't like money or got hang-ups about money, or I don't believe in money, or what I do is more valuable than money, it doesn't matter. We trade in money. That's how businesses trade. And so you have to quantify the problem in order to price your solution. And that's why it's really important that when you quantify the problem and you price the solution, that they see that what their problems cost and what the price is of what you do is, and they go, whoop, well, that's easy, yes. If I said to you right now, it's costing you about $250,000 a year in lost opportunity because you don't have a lead generation and a sales process in place, and you're losing $25,000 a month. And they were like, yeah, actually, I didn't think of it like that, but that's true. And then we got to the time when they go, well, how much do you charge? And I said, you know, $2,500 a month. It's 10% of their problem. That's much more compelling than just saying, how much do you charge? $2,500 to help you generate $1 million. I go, well, if I haven't quantified the problem, it's just an expense. And so when you think about handling these objections, that seems expensive compared to what? We could hire someone internally. Let's explore that. What would be the cost of hiring, training, and maintaining an internal resource? See? Quantify it. We get that a lot. Well, I could hire a marketing person in-house. Fantastic. How much would that cost? That sounds expensive. What if I could just give you the solution over the next 90 days? Yeah. And then your internal person could take it and work with it. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that. Perfect. Why don't we just do that then? Well, the other thing is, you've got this problem, Mr. Client, and you're going to bring an internal person in. What solution are they going to provide you? What strategy do you have in place that you're going to train them on to help them create the solution? Because right now you've got the problem on. Would it be worth us coming in, maybe giving you the solution, training that person? Because otherwise, the cost of having that person, the time that you're losing, if we put a dollar value on that, what do you reckon it's worth if we don't solve this in the next 90 days? plus the cost of the hire. Would it make sense if we just started and we do a 90-day process? We give you the system and the strategy. That person can then learn it. We can work directly with them and they can help implement it. And then after 90 days, we can review. What about that? Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Perfect. Let's make it to call. Sorry, press the wrong button every time. Scenario 2, we don't have budget for this. Understanding that concern, let's look at the cost of not addressing this issue. You mentioned earlier that you're losing $800,000 annually to turnover. Like, slam dunk. What happens if you don't address this in the next 6 months? You say to them, we'll probably lose more key people. And based on our earlier discussion, each loss costs about $100,000. Yes, plus the downstream effects. So waiting 6 months could cost at least $500,000, probably more. Yeah. So right now, quick question, let's quick check in. I want you to imagine for a second that you've got a client in front of you. That is your perfect avatar client. They're the type of person you could work with. What do you reckon right now, based on the discussions you've had, or maybe some market research you've done, or off the top of your head based on conversations that you've had previously, what do you reckon the cost is of the problem that your clients have right now? Guesstimate. If they can't grow their business or hire the team or generate the leads or make the sales or get the tender or align the team, or what do you reckon it's worth? What do you reckon that problem's costing them over a year? What do you reckon it is? What's the problem costing your client right now over a year? Just pop it in the chat. Frank said $500,000. Yeah. Rob, if you want to put a number on that, millions, rather than millions, let's get specific. What do you reckon it is? You've been in the game, mate. You would be able to put a number to it. Yeah, Anthony, potentially 50 to 150K. So let's just put $75,000 on it, Anthony. Let's go meet you in the middle. The average person you speak to, it's costing them about $75,000 a year not to know how to leverage their knowledge online and make income from it. Catherine, $2 million, $5 million or more for different companies. Great. So on average, it's $5 million. The average company is losing $5 million by not knowing what you know, Rob. Yeah. Millions. So you could say at least $10 million a year is what it's costing your clients not to have your solution. Now, that's not to conflate this and say, well, you guys should be charging 10% of that. Catherine, immediately charge $200,000. Anthony, you're going to be charging $7,500. Like, actually, you probably could do that easily over a year, mate, but easily. But for your initial programs, we're not saying now go to $7,500. Or Frank, you're going to charge $50,000 a year. What I'm doing here is helping you understand that when you look at outcome-based pricing, you start to see that the value of what you do, when you quantify it to the problem that they have, it should seem really cheap. So when you say, I'm going to charge you $20,000 a year, $2,000 a month, and the loss to your average, when you can help them see that what they're doing is costing them, or not having is costing them $2 million, Catherine, $2,000 a month seems like a drop in the ocean. Anthony, $3,000 to make $75,000 seems like a drop in the ocean. Simone, it's like few $1,000s to get started to do a planning or a strategic session with you that could lead to them saving or not wasting hundreds of millions of dollars. It seems ridiculously cheap. But that's what that's what it should look like. Because without quantifying the problem, you are expensive. Everyone's expensive. Without quantifying the problem, you are an expense. Catherine said, the person I spoke to and said $500 a week was too much when his company turnover was millions in construction business. Yeah, sure. $2,000. That is, I don't know what the quantification was, but what you need to realize is I would like to go back and look at that and you start thinking, well, yes, he could be earning millions, but earning millions and making millions are not the same thing. You know, if I'm making $1 million a year, but I'm keeping only 20,000 of it because I run a shitty business, I don't have millions of dollars. So I think what you've also got to remember, everybody, is that if you're dealing with people, what they make and what they keep are not the same thing. And you should be quantifying that. But that's also part of the pain point, right? Sounds like you're not making enough profit. Would you like help with that? How much is it costing you? How much money are you losing and not keeping because operationally or organizationally you have poor systems in place? If we could help you streamline those systems and increase that profit by at least 10% and look at creating those metrics over the next kind of 3 to 6 months, that's worth about $200,000 to you, person. Would that be something that you'd be committed to working on together? Yeah, that sounds good. Well, it's $500 a week, so it's $2,000 a month. So effectively it's $6,000 over 90 days, and we can review after that. So like $2,000 to make 200. Does that sound fair? So pricing is one thing. Sales is the next thing, right? That's what we talk about next. But why I'm talking about pricing today is because pricing is usually the crack in the foundation. It's the thing people get nervous about. It's the thing people get scared about. And what we find it hard is we feel like we've got to justify the cost of what we do to ourselves. And then we feel guilty about saying it to other people. But I'm saying if you can quantify the problem of your average client, you need to understand that what you do makes not only a difference, it has an impact, and you're actually saving people money. Now, that's not to say that things don't go to plan. You go, well, what if it doesn't work? And the person, it takes them 2 years instead of 6 months. You're like, well, great. Here's the thing you don't realize. If it takes someone 2 years to get a result, without your help, it's probably going to take them 20. See, nothing is in isolation. People are on their own journey. You can't control what someone thinks, how they act, and what they're willing to do. But what you can do is put the cost of what it's costing them in the middle of the table and then learn about them and work with them, because the idea is to get people started. That's the key. And that's why we have to price properly. And so when we quickly go back to this and we say like, okay, so there's some scenarios, implementation wise, look at your client outcomes or specific case studies or results that you've got or seen through either, say, what have been some of the results you've seen with facilitation specifically? And how much was it worth, Simone? Rob, how much money have you seen people make with tenders, with getting results? Document it, look at it. And if you can't do it, look at your own. Frank, how did you get results for yourself? And if you haven't worked with brokers because you're a new business, you are the case study first. Catherine, past clients, how has it worked? How have you generated them a result? What kind of result? Can you tell the story? Can you talk about it? Joel, same with you. Alexis, same. It's like talk, people, like just have those case studies in front of you, those outcomes in front of you. It's really encouraging to watch those things. Create outcome conversation question bank. We've already got that, right? In the deal flow diagnosis we teach in the brainstorm session, that should get you to ask the questions that help you understand what the outcomes are that they're not getting or the problems are that they need to solve. Develop an ROI calculation technique. Always quantify it back to money if you can. So what I'm hearing is based on that, it's costing you X $1,000 not to solve this or not to have a solution around this. Is that what I'm getting? Yes. Okay. Practice handling common objections because they're always going to be 90% the same. And then what I'd love you to do is just remember, outcome-based pricing is a mindset shift. It's understanding the problem before you present the solution and knowing that that problem has a value that's probably in excess of the solution that you price for. Second thing is success requires practice and preparation. You know, having things that don't work once doesn't mean they won't work forever. But I can tell you, and I can only speak from my experience and probably dozens, if not hundreds of other people, that when you can quantify problems, your solutions become more compelling. Focus on results over activities. It's easy for us as consultants and coaches to talk about, here's what we're going to do. No, benefits are what people buy. Here's how we're going to help, which means that you are going to get this thing, or we're going to solve this problem. Activities are just the tactics, and without the strategy, the tactics don't matter. So talk to strategy first, and when they become clients, you can then lay out all the activities. Always quantify impact when possible. Always quantify impact. What would the cost of that be? How much is it worth? How much would it be worth to you if we could solve that problem? So, has this been helpful so far today, guys? Have you taken something from this masterclass around pricing? Just want to, again, pricing is one part. Pricing is not selling, pricing is pricing. But pricing is the foundation of your selling. So just to clear that up, like when people talk pricing is so important because it's if we don't value what we do, it becomes really hard to sell what we do. So we have to see that what we do has value. When you can quantify the value in your own mind and you realize the impact that you can have on a company and how much it's worth to them to want to work with you, you satisfy your own objection internally, which is important because the first person you need to sell when it comes to selling your product is yourself. And once you've sold that and you go, no, I think this is fair. I love this. I would buy this. You go, this is amazing. Then you're like, go. Then you go put it in front of someone and you turn the pricing into a presentation. So, well, this is how we help. It's the problem that we solve. This is the solution we've got, you know, and this is how we price it. You put all the pieces together and you've got a really good, there's confidence and clarity that underpins every conversation that you have. And that's so important when it comes to selling. And pricing is the biggest part, the biggest domino for that. Absolutely. Anthony says, understanding our value destroys imposter syndrome. And that's so true. Imposter syndrome is when we believe the value of what we're getting does not equal the value of what we're bringing. And so we feel guilty. But when you look at it and you zoom out and you go, right now, people are in pain, people have problems, organizations, companies full of people, they're losing by not having it. You have to become an advocate for your own product or service. If you don't believe in it, how can you expect them to, right? Guys, as Vorno said, just to sort of circle back, we've got the experience, we've got the intensive. A few things we're going to move through into the master classes because we've got a few events. We're going to do a few round tables. So I'm going to bring some people together in the space. One of the things I hear a lot is, I'm corporate, I'm different. So I'm going to bring corporate people together to talk about how that is false. I think that's an objection that we have. That is not true. Corporate doesn't make you, is not a disadvantage. It's just there are pros and cons to everything. You've just got to choose your hard. So we're going to bring some people together. We're going to talk about all of the hard and all of the goods, and we're going to bring that. And then we're going to talk about money. We're going to round table revenue models, how some people are making money doing what they're doing, how they're thinking about it, how they're able to do it, why they've done it. And I think in understanding other people's stories, you'll understand where there might be something for you that could be helpful. at the intensive, we're going to do 3 hot seats that are really going to articulate and nail each of those parts. So it's really important you come to these events and these sessions, because what they do is they just put you around other people who are just like you. They might be a little bit ahead of you or a little bit behind you, but either way, the collective is more powerful than the individual. So we're going to bring some perspective from the collective to help us grow. But in the meantime, everyone, if you need anything, reach out, let us know in the arena. Pricing, so important. You guys have a fantastic day. Simone, great to see you. Rob, Lisa, Frank, Anthony, Alexis. Have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll chat to you all soon. Take care. Bye for now. See ya.
If you've liked today's masterclass, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and comment so we can hear from you and get this out to more consultants just like you who are looking to grow their practices to 500K and beyond. Helping consultants find their true worth and commercialize it in the marketplace is why we exist. If you'd like to learn how you can grow your consulting business, head on over to expertproject.com. Learn a bit more about what we do, download some more of our free resources, or follow us on social media. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want a direct access link into one of our teams so we can learn a bit more about your business, what you're wanting to create, and how we might be able to help, head on over to expertproject.com/launch. Give us a bit of detail about you, your business, and we look forward to having a chat with you and helping you grow your consulting business. In the meantime, take care and bye for now.